Good evening. Linda, could you please give the invocation?
In Proverbs 20:12 it says, "Ears that hear and eyes that see, the Lord has made them both." Thank you, Lord, for equipping us with eyes and ears. Thank you that with them we can observe the world around us, and this enables us to more fully experience, understand, and enjoy the people around us. Lord, I wonder if people who choose isolation and restrictions would unintentionally be inviting in sadness, loneliness, fear, anger, and depression. So Lord, please help us to open up our eyes and see and ears to hear. Help us to make right choices, to choose to see, hear, and love others the way God loves us. I'd like to read to you 1 Corinthians 13:4-8 on how to love others. Love is patient. Love is kind. It's not jealous. Love does not brag. It is not arrogant. Does not act unbecomingly. It does not seek its own, is not provoked, does not take into account a wrong suffered, does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Notice all the words in these verses describe love as a verb. Love is an action, a deliberate choice, maybe even stepping forth and stepping out of our comfort zone. Father, thank you for revealing the importance of looking around, seeing others, and listening to them. There we find joy, and we can find love, and we can enjoy the world you created for us to live in. Father, bless each one here at the city meeting. Please guide all those who are carefully, intentionally, and with great love making decisions for our great community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Linda. So now that it is 6:03, we'll officially call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Alderpersons Borneman,
Here.
Monroe,
Here.
Ross,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Busker,
Here.
Shadle,
Here.
Misick,
Here.
and Berberay.
Here.
Thank you. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Busker. Item number 1 is approval of the agenda. We are going to be taking off items number 26 and 27. So is there a motion for approval of this agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Monroe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on August 2nd, 2021. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Ross, seconded by Alderman Shadle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Item number 3 is public comments. We have some written public comments that came in today, so I'll ask for our clerk to read those into the record.
I have 3 that are against the map amendment ordinance. First by Michael R. Saxby. I grew up here in Freeport. Through the years, I've seen our city aldermen do many improvements in this community. The city has much more to do on streets and infrastructure. This all costs such extreme amounts of money that takes time to come with to do it right. I grew up on Waddell Avenue across from the low-income housing. Growing up there, cars raced up and down these back streets regularly. That area had much growth through the years. After 59 years, my wife got me to move to 1311 Oakdale Place. What an amazing area to live in. Due to slow traffic, people can actually walk with friends, family, and pets without fear of being hit. I personally believe that's the beauty of Freeport now in my later years. I believe that's why people are staying here and houses are selling at an unbelievable quick turnover. There's many beautiful homes still available, so why waste city funds on high-end condominiums development? The wealthy can buy or build whatever they desire. If they can't find it here, they will move. The rest of us will stay for the long haul. Our children and grandchildren have stayed here as well. Please continue to do what our city leaders have always tried to do, make Freeport a beautiful community for the many generations that have stayed. Thank you for your dedication. Sincerely, Michael Saxby. I stated that wrong. I have 2 against. This came through Alderman Shadle, so it says, Greg, please support the local city professionals on the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board to end talks of the proposed condominium development on Demeter. Vote no. Our city can't even keep up Demeter Street, much less afford to put in the infrastructure needed to accommodate that many families in this single-family neighborhood. Freeport has so many more pressing infrastructure needs than this. Please vote no. Teresa Wellman. Mayor, I meant to take all 3 of the 4s. Now what? Do you want to continue with against comments? Or continue with reading the submitted? I apologize. I have received 3 in support of it, and I'll read the first 3 received today in order. From Paul Hafer. Per our discussion, and this is to Alderperson Borneman. Per our discussion yesterday, I would like to confirm that I am in favor of the proposed condominium development on Park Boulevard and strongly encourage you to vote in favor of same. This project will provide much needed construction jobs and property tax revenue for the city. Freeport has not seen a project of this nature in many years. I believe there is a large population of Freeport residents that would take advantage of this type of development. We cannot let the vocal naysayers stand in the way of doing what is right for Freeport and moving our city to the future. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. Paul Hafer. Secondly, from Stan Casper. Good morning, Mayor and City Council members. I had a flyer attached to my front door that was labeled Pack the Place regarding the condominium development and would like to provide the following comments. First and foremost, this is a personal observation and not necessarily the views of the Morse Group, though I would surmise that Janie Morse shares the same views as I do. Though Rockwell is a construction company, we do not work on projects of this type and therefore have nothing to financially gain. I live approximately 2 blocks away from this proposed project and also golf at the Freeport Club that is directly across the street. I do consider the investors as friends, though I do not socialize on a regular basis with any of them. And most importantly, I was not asked to send this and they aren't even aware that I'm reaching out to you. I am 100% in favor of this project. The reasons for this are, we have an empty lot sitting in Freeport that someone is willing to invest in. Though I don't know a lot of the specifics of the projects, new condos anywhere in Freeport should be welcomed with open arms. Anything in Freeport that will add to the tax base needs to be looked at, and a project of this nature has been one of the best in a long time. It will provide some well-paying construction jobs, and to be redundantly clear, none for our company. It provides for senior-age people to have close access to Crape Park and the walking paths. It is also close to the Freeport Club that would help that tax-paying member of our community. Though the flyer stated 700 residents have signed the petition, the question would be, is it possible that there are a lot of friends signing for friends who aren't sure as to the impact this project will have in the area and also to our tax base? In closing, I just want to ask, is Freeport open for business or not? Thank you for your service to Freeport and your consideration to the above comments, and that was received from Stan Casper. The third one received today is from Luann Stambaugh Hayes. Mayor Miller, I am sorry I'm not able to attend tonight's meeting. Please submit this statement for the record. The map amendment needs to be passed by the Freeport City Council tonight. The discussion of the new development deserves to be debated and discussed to come together with a compromise. A yes vote will allow discussion and debate. The residents of Freeport, whom you represent, deserve to hear both sides of the discussion. A no vote will not even allow a discussion of the possibility of a $6 million development in our city. I am asking that you do what is best for the residents of Freeport and vote yes on the map amendment to keep the discussion going. Thank you. Luann Stambaugh Hayes.
Then next we'll move on to the ones that have signed up. Dennis Meyer, you did not put you want to speak on item number 7. I'm guessing you didn't write it down. Okay, yeah, sure, come on up. I just wanted to be clear on that first before so we'll go with those that are Con. 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Dennis Myers. I live at 1448 West Demeter Drive with my wife Patty Ludwig. I have lived in Freeport since 1970. I am speaking in regards to the proposed map amendment that you're to vote on this evening. At the Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing, one of the applicants of the proposal gave an hour presentation about plans for 32 condo development needing R5 or multifamily zoning in an R2 single-family zone neighborhood. He stated how good it would be for Freeport. 15 people then presented public testimony and evidence opposing the zoning change. The ZBA did not recommend the zoning change from R2 to R5. Was there something erroneous in the ZBA decision? There are 8 questions the developers, city staff, and ZBA, and now the city council are to consider in regards to changing the zoning to multifamily, allowing condominium developments in a single-family home neighborhood. These questions ask about the compatibility with existing nearby properties, relative gains to the public compared to the hardships of the applicant. This development will affect not only the properties adjacent to the proposed development, but the streets nearby, such as South Demeter Drive, La Cresta Drive, and of course, Park Road. This potential development also affects the city in the dealing with infrastructure such as roads, water, and sewer lines, and the development years into the future. Has an independent traffic and transportation engineer been consulted by the city council to confirm the developer's claim of traffic increase not being an issue, or the fact that there is no visitor parking in the development? If not, why not? Has a professional real estate appraiser consultant been interviewed for a sales analysis for the project and for surrounding properties? If not, why not? If a sale of an existing home in said area is made, would the new property owner be required to hook up to city sewer, and at what cost? Or would the future sales of a home in the area be considered as grandfathered in for continued use of their septic system? Could this diminish the cost of the home? Is there a need for this type of housing, considering the number of unfinished condo complexes throughout the city? According to the zoning ordinances, the compatibility of the project in question with nearby properties would be moot. The setback, distances, the size of the green space, the size of the road, that's not compatible with what the rest is there. Has the potential harm to the neighbors of additional stormwater runoff been addressed?
Dennis, your time is exceeded,
not-
so thank you very much.
Can't finish?
You can finish at the end if you'd like. Ellen Nowicki?
Thank you. It would be really nice if a development came to the city council and it inspired lots of confidence and universal praise. The map amendment for the proposed development at 1601 South Park Boulevard comes to the council as not being recommended by city staff, with the Zoning Board of Appeals having voted to deny a zoning change, without a recommendation from the Planning Commission, and with the neighbors successfully having filed a legal protest to force a supermajority vote. It also comes with petitions signed by over 700 individuals urging the council to vote to deny a zoning change. And that's, not all of those are from Freeport, but 469 of them are Freeport residents. Okay? We urge the council to vote no and to keep the property zoned as R2. And I want to say, 15 neighbors, we met with the developers, the 2 developers at the end of July. We expressed our concerns in a face-to-face meeting. Our concerns had previously been expressed at the public hearing for the Zoning Board of Appeal, in public comments at the Planning Commission, and at public comments at the City Council. They remain unaddressed. Both zoning laws and the LaSalle-Sinclair factors recognize the importance of promoting development that fits into existing neighborhoods. If the City Council wants to promote development at the site, they should compromise and protect the neighborhood and Park Boulevard. And we suggest that any zoning change be conditional on requiring setbacks. That is, the minimum distance from a building to the property line. Those setbacks should match most of the surrounding homes, preferably 75 feet along Park Boulevard and Demeter Drive, and 50 feet along the neighboring properties. The applicant has compared his property to the property at Parkview condominiums. Those are not at the minimum setback of 30 feet. We also ask that the conditions include maintaining a connection for vehicle traffic along Park Boulevard and limiting vehicle traffic on Demeter Drive by having only one opening. The applicant has suggested most people will want to be turning onto Park Boulevard. We'll give them that option, maintain that connection. We also ask for a landscape plan that preserves 25% of the canopy trees at the site and maintains attractive and park-like views from the adjacent roads and then screens the neighboring homes from the development. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michelle Royster?
I'm also talking on the development, proposed development. I live just north of the proposed development. Comprehensive plan has an implementation matrix in the goals and objectives section, containing zoning and land use with 6 sections having goals of 20 objectives. Not one of these objectives can be cited as relative to this project. Is it the transportation and infrastructure section? No, none of them. Moreover, the spirit of the plan's philosophy and specific guidelines are not being met. This usage plan does not restore a neighborhood which is a major goal of the comprehensive plan. It does not embrace Freeport's historical value. It does not protect, conserve, or improve its natural environment to improve the quality of life of residents through benefiting all residents of Freeport. It does not add beautification and contribute to a more resilient natural environment. It is not for the whole of the Freeport community. These are all terms and phrases directly from the comprehensive plan. It is not mutually beneficial to the neighborhood as the comprehensive plan recommends. Affordability is void per the city's own admission. It would force a forever change to the neighborhood and desired openness goals of the comprehensive plan of Freeport and many citizens. This is against the desires and the long-term residents nearest to and most affected by this project. This neighborhood is not in need of restoration. This established neighborhood needs proper usage of this single property without sacrificing or risking the character of this positive image neighborhood, which holds Freeport's grand entrance to Crape Park. This project does not fit in harmony with the neighborhood. The cost of Freeport's depressed housing market has zero to do with real estate or land developers. When jobs fall, people leave. When job opportunities grow, so does the population and the demand for housing. When there is demand for more housing, developers build. Supply and demand is confusing to some because of the order of the phrase. Demand always comes first, no matter how it is said. You are being sold on a backwards idea, and some are fighting for the wrong end of the equation. This is an empty lot and stayed empty, with no single-family housing at the developer's doing. Why do all of the citizens, and especially the neighbors, have to suffer now because of it? Please vote no on this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we'll have 3 that are pro. First will be Steve Chesney. First will be Chris Schneiderman. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Schneiderman. My wife and I live at 755 Santa Fe Drive in Freeport. We've owned a home and worked in Freeport for just over 19 years. We have 3 children, ages 10 to 15. First of all, I don't get a chance to do this often, but thank you to all the council members for your dedicated service to our community. I know some of you in this room, and I know you always have our community at the forefront of your thoughts. Also, thank you to all our city employees who keep our community operating and keep our community safe every day of the year. My reason for speaking tonight is to support the ordinance approving map amendment for 1601 South Park. From what I understand, tonight's vote is to modify the zoning to allow for a condo development. It is not a vote on the final plat or plans, but to modify the map to allow for rezoning and thus future submission of the plat and plans. Like I said, I have lived and worked in Freeport for 19 years and owned a home for that long as well. I've enjoyed my time here. I've also worked at State Bank for those entire 19 years as a business banker. At a young age, I was taught as a community banker you need to make decisions based not only on shareholder value, but supporting the well-being of our community. In my opinion, I believe that the MAP amendment is supporting the well-being of our community. It will be an overall support for progress in the future of our community. We need more housing options like the one being proposed. As Adam Otterow reminded me in his late May article, do we need other housing options? Yes, but this is the one being proposed. And in a broader definition of helping the community, this development can do that. We need and should be soliciting other people to continue to invest in our community, and from what I can tell, the individuals proposing this plan are doing just that. Plus, they are local, which in my lending experience is extremely important to developments. We need continued progress in our community, not stagnation. And it's difficult for a community to progress without housing options that people want. Is it an ideal location for some, or does it meet all of the LaSalle-Sinclair factors? Obviously, it does not. But really, is there a better shovel-ready location for a development such as this? More importantly, do we have any other developers beating down our door with projects? Creating and accomplishing progress very rarely fits into a perfect 90-degree square box, nor does it satisfy everyone involved. I estimate that in my tenure at State Bank, we've made about $250 million worth of business loans all over the city to over 300 businesses. I can tell you for certain they not all fit the box. The FDIC would probably say the same. We're not going to tell them about that. However, they hopefully did progress our community forward with tangible investment and had an impact on our future. I read a lot of the petition signatures against the rezoning, which I certainly respect as a fellow Freeport community member. For some of the arguments, I have no mitigants, nor will I try. There is no doubt this proposed amendment certainly is not ideal for some. Regarding entrance to Crape, my family has used that for a very long time with my children. It would not matter to me personally how that Park Boulevard was lined necessarily. If there were condos on that location, perfectly fine. I'm still going to Crape Park. For those that live near the proposed development, I do respect and agree with some of your concerns. However, I and many others in communities all over have had our neighborhood disrupted in the past and present.
Mr. Schneiderman, your 3 minutes has exceeded. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Just so the constituents here know, we're having issues with Comcast. We aren't. Comcast is having issues with the airing, so just, Chief, did you have something you wanted to say to that? Okay, so what my understanding is they can see us, but the audible is coming from Rockford's meeting, not ours. So it's quite confusing to those that are on Comcast. So we apologize for that. Hopefully Comcast gets that figured out soon.
Mayor,
Yes,
this is still being recorded and broadcasted live through our YouTube channel.
yes, thumbs
So
up on that.
That has nothing to do with the YouTube stream? Okay, and that's going to be recorded and posted to the channel to watch at a later time?
So then we'll move on to Steve Chesney. Or we'll move on to Todd Wiggins.
Sorry about the order there. Not only is our request for a map amendment before you this evening, but so is the future of Freeport. Regarding key LaSalle-Sinclair factors, we have shown the project is consistent with a comprehensive plan. The project will transition between single-family and adjacent properties of mixed use. Similar property use exists within 300 feet of the property. property values would not be diminished by the proposed use, just as home values have not been affected by the condos in existence for nearly 40 years. The city manager's July 14th memo recommended approval of the map amendment. From a practical standpoint, the issue of condos within the neighborhood was decided in 1986 when the country club condominiums were built. All other matters associated with final details are premature at this point. If approved, we would continue to work final details through city staff and return to Planning Commission and Council for additional review and approval. Look, our goal all along has simply been to do something positive for Freeport. We expected some opposition, but not that the neighbors would turn this process into blood sport. Our single conversation with the neighbors only proved how disingenuous they are about seriously working on any concerns. A letter to the editor was submitted with known false statements just hours prior to that meeting. An online petition based on a completely false premise was posted. Numerous emails sent to the council continue to repeat misleading statements, and a door hanger campaign was coordinated by a resident of DeKalb that continues to mislead. One alderman suggested we should combat the neighbors with similar campaigns. Sure, we could point out that one neighbor that has developed property in town for a living is now against development in her backyard. That same neighbor moved into her house the same year that the country club condos were built. My neighbors suggest setbacks for our project far in excess of code, yet recently built a carport at the minimum setbacks allowed. My neighbors feel our development will be a future eyesore, when in the opinion of some of their properties are an existing eyesore. Yes, we could even conduct a bogus online petition or a Pack the Place campaign. I have no doubt the neighbors will continue to invest their funds and attempt to defeat our project through these divisive means. This is the path they have chosen. Their vision of our project and Freeport's future is far different than ours. Instead, we want to spend millions of our own money towards additional housing that benefits all of Freeport. There have been several people that have stood before you or had the courage to speak in favor of the project. While averse to this process, there is a silent majority watching what you decide tonight. We can complete this project in a positive fashion and address our neighbors' concerns. So now the decision is yours. Vote no and continue the reduction in housing, decline in population, and the slow death spiral that Freeport is in. Vote yes and take a step towards a new and better future for our community.
Thank you, Mr. Wiegand. Mr. Chesney.
Each of you sitting before me tonight, whether elected or hired, I suspect had one common goal. That is to make Freeport a better place upon your departure than when you originally found it. That's not unlike Todd and myself, longtime residents who decided we too could help make Freeport better. But not through public service, like each of you, but with our own family's capital, monies we know Freeport needs to grow its housing stock, or more pointedly, to slow its decline. The last time I spoke in front of you, I stated the superintendent of the Freeport schools advised 73% of her students and their families were living at a poverty level in Freeport. Almost 3/4 of our fellow citizens are living in poverty. Today, some new information for everyone. Freeport, the city we all call home, has lost 1,665 residents in the past 10 years. That is over 6.5% of our residents in just 10 years, or over 3 people per week, each and every week, for 520 weeks. We all know why our population's declining. It's due to the lack of opportunity, jobs, quality of life, and housing stock. Do all of you know that more homes have been removed by our very own Park District in the recent past than we have built in Freeport? With the city's recent multi-million-dollar grant to purchase and take down homes in our east side, our housing stock will be at a low not seen since the 1970s. What can be done to change this? We at Park Partners are asking for a zoning change to facilitate discussions on building a condominium project. This project is within a few hundred feet of another condominium project. That seems to make some sense to us. and to many of the people who have contacted us to inquire to purchase. What will this project do other than to provide many wonderful homes in Freeport? It'll provide revenue that you all desperately need to meet your ever-increasing budget shortfalls. The city, fire, and police pensions are all paid for by taxes on the value of our homes. With the many homes being removed from the east side, they, along with the homes that the Park District has taken off the rolls for its own use, will reduce tax revenue that you all desperately need. This puts the burden on the taxpayers remaining, homeowners alike, whom yet to leave Freeport. You, the City Council, will have to ask for more, yet knowingly that more is hardly going to be enough. The city desperately needs housing. We're offering a solution to stem that decline. The city desperately needs additional revenue, and we're offering a solution. The city desperately needs growth, and we're offering a solution. I ask each of you to vote to grow Freeport,
Mr.
to
Chesney,
vote
your
to
time is
watch
done.
over its climb. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment portion. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is considered to be routine in nature unless there is something that a member of the council would like to remove for further discussion. Is there anything, council? Seeing none, the consent agenda consists of approving to receive and place on file the boards and commission minutes from the Zoning Board of Appeals dated June 3rd and the Library Board of Trustees dated June 19th and July 14th, 2021. Also, the bond notification of general obligations bonds series 2021, the building permit report from July, the Housing Authority quarterly report dated August 5th, and the 2020 annual tax increment finance reports for Lamb Road, Meadows Drive, West Avenue, Burchard Hills, and the downtown. Also, the refund for the building permit for Harmony United Methodist Church in the amount of $1,400, and approving the finance bills payable in the total of $733,304.80, and the approval of payroll for pay period ending July 31st, 2021, in the total of $551,398.84. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
May I comment on that?
Yeah, did I say something wrong?
No, I'm just noticing that item 6 on there is something that we're gonna be voting on later. The refund for the building permit, wasn't that to be discussed later? Or was that in the, item 6, the refund of the permit?
Yeah, where do you think it is on the,
Maybe that was in the draft of the original agenda that I read, but
Yeah, well, the one that was on here, it is listed, this was just on my desk when I got in here. Is that not the same church?
Where's it,
Number 6 there.
yeah, right, where's it, where else is it on the agenda?
Oh, it was my understanding it was gonna be a separate
Oh.
item? No?
Not that one?
yeah,
it was
unless
on
you
the
see it
draft.
somewhere on the agenda, I don't think that it's separated.
that must have got taken out.
Is there a motion for approval?
It was on the.
So moved.
Seconded. Parker.
We have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Monroe. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Busker,
Aye.
Shadle,
No.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berbere,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
Monroe,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1.
Thank you. Item number 5 is a presentation of the winner of the Christmas in July Battle of the Badges. However, I have a note saying that Captain Tim and Lisa Thors are unable to come. They send their regrets and apologize for not being able to attend this evening. They are proud to announce that the police and fire departments raised $1,935 on July 23rd, 2021, standing in the gap for Christmas in July Salvation Army campaign. This year's Battle of the Badge winner is the fire department, raising $1,338. So congratulations to the fire department, and thank you to each one of your departments. Were you offering your condolences?
Madam Mayor, if I can, in defense of the chief, he was away for a well-deserved vacation and wasn't able to command the troops on this one. So I was at an unfair advantage, I can tell you that.
Well, thank you to both departments. We appreciate you standing in the gap. Item number 6 is a presentation of proposed list of projects for the American Rescue Plan Act. Manager Bukas.
President Joe Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA, into law on March 11, 2011. The plan included $19.5 billion to non-entitlement units of government, which Freeport is one of those. The city is being allocated approximately $3,232,073.50. And the City Council has authorized the mayor and staff to apply for these funds through resolution number R 2021-34. Since the original announcement, the use of these funds have been expanded slightly in the areas that concern the city. These funds can now be used for water and sewer improvements as well as police technology. I'm recommending that these funds be used in the following manner. Police technology improvements, $400,000. Lynn Street Lift Station Pump, Force Main, and Electrical Controls, $681,800. Water main improvements for Laurel, Palmer, and Violet Streets, $493,100. Laurel Avenue and Park Boulevard Lift Station, $907,000. Chicago Avenue Water and Sewer improvements, $500,000. College Lift Station Generator, $150,000. And the West Galena Lift Station Generator, $100,000. This brings us to approximately $3,232,000. Although there's been some discussion in Congress to include road improvements, no action has been taken on their part as of this time, and these are the final initial interim guidelines that we've been reading about. So as promised before, these are the projects that staff is recommending that the monies be used for in this coming 2 years.
Manager Bukas, these are recommendations, correct?
That is correct.
So in the next 10, 11 months, we should receive the second half of that 3.2 million, and by then the guidelines probably could change. Do you anticipate that there's a possibility that you could come back with maybe some changes to this proposal?
That's a possibility. We should be receiving our first check in about 30 days for half of this, about 1.6 million. And as I mentioned earlier, there's been some talk in Congress about trying to include road improvements. And if there is, then we may look at our list a little bit differently and move some money towards road improvements, because that's desperately needed too. You know, we could look at the generators and that and maybe put those off. But these are projects that are in our capital plan for future years that we're trying to move up that we need to do. And one thing too I want to point out to council is that, you know, we've been doing a lot of water and sewer work, and the reason we're doing a lot of water and sewer work is not only because we need to, but we need to do that before we can do some of our road improvements, because otherwise we're putting a new road and just tearing it up in a couple of years. So that's one reason why we're looking at a lot of these water sewer line improvements.
Alderman Shadle?
I would like to see myself some of these pockets within the city that don't have access to city sewer as yet, maybe put ahead of some of this repair work so that everybody has a chance to have the service before we go back and fix somebody else's that already has the ability to have that service.
Any other comments on this proposed list? Alderman Burbray?
Manager Bukas, the projects recommended, are any of those fundable through grants or other methods other than these funds?
In all likelihood, we could apply for various funding sources. Most of them will be low-interest loans.
Okay.
The only ones I'm not sure whether they'll be eligible are the 2 generators. But if we were doing it as part of a major project that somehow tied in with those lift stations, they would be. But as standalone, I'm not sure whether they would be eligible. Plus, the numbers are too small for anybody, for any of the funding sources.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman Monroe?
Are any of the projects you've listed here, what you would consider critical that need to be done sooner than later, that you would advise not pushing off?
I believe the Lynn Street lift station is something we need to do as our #1 project. That's not only replacement, that's adding another lift station there. And then I would think that the Laurel Avenue Park Boulevard lift station would be the next one.
Thank you.
How do you want to move forward with this?
Your Honor, I just wanted to bring this forward to council, a simple motion to accept this. I mean, there was some discussion as to how this money was going to be used, and, there again, the rumor mill, how it operates and how we're spending the money. And I just want to bring out what the staff's been talking about as possible projects, and not to say this can't be amended, but, just a simple motion by council saying that they approve the recommendation as presented.
Well, the attorney said that since it's marked as a presentation, someone really needs to move it forward to the next council meeting, if that's your plan.
Madam Mayor.
I would make a motion to move it forward.
Second.
So we have a motion made by Alderman Monroe, seconded by Alderman Busker, to move this potential list forward to the next city council meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please take the vote?
Could you repeat the first and second? I'm sorry, I'm catching up here.
Monroe and Busker.
And we'll start with Busker. Shadle.
Aye.
Mysick.
Aye.
Berberet.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
Monroe.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 7 is the second reading of Ordinance 2021-31. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving map amendment for 1601 South Park Boulevard.
Thank you. Manager Bucus?
Thank you, Your Honor. Park Partners LLC requests a map amendment for 1601 South Park to rezone the property from R2, one-family residential, to R5, two-family residential district to allow for proposed condominium development. Since the hearing at the Zoning Board of Appeals on June 1st, 2021, the petitioner has decided to make the roadway within the proposed development private versus public. This was not the case at the public hearing, but is the intent of the developer moving forward. As a private road, the developer is subject to the condominium development requirements. R2 currently allows single-family homes, parks, home occupation, schools, churches, small residential care homes, and solar energy systems, subject to the provisions of any code section which sets standards for specific use. Under lot size standards, the 6-acre parcel currently could hold approximately 18 to 20 single-family homes. The Zoning Board of Appeals held a hearing on the map amendment application, and after consideration of the LaSalle Sinclair factors and findings of fact, they voted 3-0 with 2 abstentions to deny the petition for the zoning change from R2 to R5. The Plan Commission reviewed the application on July 8, 2021. A motion was made to approve the map amendment for 1601 South Park Boulevard from R2 to R5 based upon the final plat approval and with the final plat containing landscaping plans. That vote was 2 in favor, 2 against, and 2 abstentions. So technically, there was no recommendation from the Plan Commission. And that's the report I have tonight, Your Honor.
Discussion, council. Alderman Parker?
As we've all heard a lot on this issue, I just understand approximately, and I want to make sure this is clear, 900 feet of sewer main is required to connect this development to the city sewer system. does the developer plan on installing the sewer main at their expense? Their expense is approximately $230,000. I'm just curious if that has been looked at or requested or talked to them.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. The staff has not looked at this. We are not proposing that the city pay anything towards that sewer line.
Thank you.
Alderman Borneman?
Thank you. Just to follow up on what you just said, you said the staff has not looked at this. What do you mean by that?
We are not looking at funding this proposal.
Right. You've looked into it.
Right.
The staff at this point.
Well, we know there has to be a sewer line extension, and the developer knows that as well, that there's water there, but there's no sanitary sewer.
Right. I guess I'll keep going if nobody else has questions right now. So in your memo, you point this out. The Zoning Board of Appeals had a hearing, and at that hearing, the amendment had to do with a subdivision development.
That's correct.
Okay. And right now, a condominium development is before us.
That's correct.
So what's the difference between that, what the ZBA considered and made findings on versus what's before the ZBA or the council currently?
Under the subdivision code, they had to meet certain standards for like streets and that and setbacks, where in a condo development, they don't have to meet all the strict standards that may be in place for a subdivision plat.
So the the ZBA's recommendation to not recommend is not necessarily, the same application isn't before us right now? Can you clarify that?
That's my belief, yes. As a matter of fact, I think, and I could be wrong, Attorney Cox could maybe correct me, but I thought that the ZBA actually heard an R6 zoning request, not R5. Is R5? Okay, it was R5. It was amended before the Zoning Board of Appeals. So what the Zoning Board of Appeals dealt with, they also dealt with 3 possible variances in which they approved 1 and denied 2. Because they're going to a condominium plat, those variances are no longer needed or necessary.
So the ZBA, just so I understand this right, the ZBA heard a map amendment based off of a proposed subdivision development that is different from the condominium development, and in addition to that distinction, there were 3 variances that are no longer needed for this map amendment.
That's correct.
Okay. If anybody else has questions, otherwise I can keep going.
Alderman Berberay?
That explanation being said, this is a rhetorical question. Would the ZBA have a different point of view now if they were reviewing this information? Because what we're likely to vote on is something totally different. Based on their negative recommendation, we're going to look at it in a different way. I'm not sure what the procedure is for moving forward. It's confusing. You know, they voted against this, and we're going to go for or against that. Is that a good way to put it?
I would say yes, it would be.
Okay, so I don't know how we resolve this. Is there
Just for a point of clarification, Attorney Cox, what was before the ZBA was a map amendment to R5, R2 to R5, right? Single family to 2 family. Regardless of the detail, though, as to whether or not it's a subdivision development or condominium development, from a map amendment standpoint, they would consider the same thing, R2 to R5, right? But then later, if you're getting into the development standard, then it's a matter of whether or not it's a subdivision or a condo.
speak from behind everybody. What was before the zoning board was a a map amendment, or I'm sorry, yes, from R2 to R5. And that's what's in front of the council this evening. The other matters pertain to platting requirements, which have since been withdrawn. So the ZBA voted on the R2 to R5 just as is before the city council. The only difference is there's less in front of the council than was in front of the ZBA, as those matters have been withdrawn.
Alderman Borneman?
Okay, so I just want to make it clear, what is the issue the council is being asked to vote on right now?
Rezoning from R2 to R5, single family to two family.
Which is a map amendment. It has nothing to do with the plat.
And you'd agree with that, Attorney Zito?
That's correct.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker?
just as a hypothetical, if we were to change, if somebody wanted to go and build a two-family, just a duplex on that property to just have two families living side by side, big elegant home, kind of mirrors what's there now, they'd have to come back for the same vote, or same change in zoning, because it'd be considered a two-family residence. Would that be correct?
That would be correct, yes.
Okay.
Alderman Monroe?
Thank you, Mayor. I've spent a lot of time speaking with both the people that live in the neighborhood, Mr. Chesney, who I've met for the first time tonight, and others. There are some things that really bothered me. And I think it's important to bring that up because this is not what Freeport's about. We're being asked to look at an R2 to R5 request. LaSalle Sinclair factors keep coming up over and over again, and it's been brought to me by both sides. And the funny thing is, as a meteorologist with a background in mapping and things like that, I'm getting somewhere around 300-ish feet from one place to the other. It's not accurate, to 100%, but a lot of the things that have been said are kind of twisted to kind of fit people's agenda, their beliefs. And, I think it's important to kind of flush these out and get to a point where we can say, okay, these are the findings of fact of why we go from R2 to R5. 300 feet, is it 350, is it 300, is it 299? I'm not an ArcGIS expert, but I can tell you that it's close enough in my mind that, you look at the condominiums across the street. Parkview condominiums keeps coming up, 35 units on 6 acres. Here, this one's 32. Do I think that's too many? I do think it's too many. But at the same time, we have to look at the facts of what's going on. The price of the home's around $200,000. I look at the kind of the median house price in that area. It's about $200,000, give or take 10,000, which is not outside the realm. The house across the street from me sold for 120. Mine was more. Those things happen in neighborhoods. We're a tight-knit community. We have not had any homes built here really in substance in 10 years, over 10 years, probably closer to 13, 14 years when the housing bubble popped. And I think we have to be real honest that we sit down, and I've tried to do that with the families there, with Mr. Chesney, to bring people together to do this project because it is good for Freeport and the community at whole. I don't live in that neighborhood, but I ask myself if I lived right across the street or right next door, I don't think Mr. Chesney and Mr. Wiggins or anybody else is going to put something in that's going to run water down the street into their properties. And that's what we have a responsibility to do if we move this forward from R2 to R5, is to make sure that they're protected, because we have a responsibility to everybody in the city, no matter if they're in our ward or they're in our city or where at, we have to look out for them. And, when you look at all of the things, when you really look at LaSalle, Sinclair factors, it's not that far off. And, you know, I asked my fellow council members and the mayor, who now has to vote because of this, you know, this really strange, you know, appeal to people that I think has gone out to all over the country, because I know people in my own family who voted from outside the state of Illinois, and I'm like, shake my head. You know, it doesn't make sense. We all live here. We all have to love our city. We all have to give back. We have to figure out how to solve our problems, because people are moving away in droves, and I don't think that's good. And I also don't think we have enough housing. I mean, what's the average? A few meetings back, we talked about the average time that a house is on that for sale in the city of Freeport before it sells. It's less than 60 days right now. So we have to look at this, you know, with an open mind. We have to figure out how to reach an agreement amongst folks, and we have to do it honestly with each other. You know, this has kept me awake at night thinking about, you know, how people have kind of gone back and forth at each other. And you know what? We're too small a community. We've got less than 24,000 people when we used to be a lot bigger, in the 40s of thousands. And we've got to do projects that fix this city, bring it forward, and bring quality construction and buildings here. You know, if no one else has comments, you know, I would like to make the motion that we move this forward for a vote to go from R2 to R5. And, you know.
We don't need a motion on that, so.
Awesome.
Thank you. Alderman Berberet, was there something you wanted to say?
Yes, and I appreciate Alderman Monroe taking the lead on discussing some of the positive LaSalle Sinclair factors. ZBAs were pretty much negative. I spent some time doing some research and looking at ways of looking at the facts as I understand them. You've alluded, Alderman Monroe, to several of them already. Each of the aldermen and staff here have received copies of this, and there's 9 areas that, when presented, talk about the positive aspects based on LaSalle. The subject property is adequately suited for the proposed use. Property has been vacant since 2006. Excuse me. Comprehensive plan lists development of vacant
Alderman
parcels.
Berberet, would you mind starting at the top of what you're saying? Because I'm pretty sure the people in the audience don't understand what you're talking about. Would you be okay with that?
You have to read my own stuff? Okay. I will read my own stuff.
I gladly would if you'd prefer not to. I don't care.
No, I'll do it.
Go ahead.
I spent time putting this together.
You know it better
I
than
know
I
it.
do.
So these are the findings of fact that what I put together in talking to people also are positive. It's a positive spin, whereas I think the ZBA looked at a negative spin. Excuse me, that's my interpretation. Number 1, existing uses of nearby properties are similar to the proposed use. There's a similar existing use within 300 feet of the subject property. The Country Club condominiums contain 16 units on approximately 1 acre of land. There is a similar existing zoning with Parkview condominiums, which is 35 units on approximately 6 acres. The subject property is less dense than Parkview, as Park Preserve is proposing 32 units on 6.2 acres. Number 2, property values of nearby property are not likely to diminish by the proposed use. The petitioner is proposing to develop high-end condominiums for age 55 plus residents to sell for around $200,000. Condominiums are dispersed throughout the city in the middle of neighborhoods, and if the style of properties align well with the neighborhood style, then it is unlikely that it will negatively affect the neighbor's property values. With the possibility of new sewer running down Demeter, not knowing that it's included in the project yet because that was discussed a minute ago, residents in the area would be able to connect to sewer and get off septic systems that are quite old. Not only would that be a sanitary improvement, but would improve their property values as well. Number 3, the proposed use will not endanger the public health, safety, and welfare of the city. There are some concerns about stormwater drainage issues, which may endanger the public health, safety, and welfare of the neighboring properties if not addressed. However, these items will be reviewed and required to be properly addressed as part of the plat review, which this council will vote for down the road if we get there. Additionally, the stormwater improvements of this size will help alleviate stormwater issues some of the neighbors are currently experiencing. Number 4, a relative hardship is not likely to be imposed on adjacent or nearby property owners by reason of the proposed use. The Country Club condominiums located 300 feet to the northwest and the Parkview condominiums are similar use and have imposed no hardship on adjacent property owners, nor have they impacted property values. Their condominiums dispersed throughout the city, and that if done properly will present no hardship to adjacent property owners or diminish property values. No short-term hardship will be placed on neighboring properties other than that associated with a typical construction activity. Number 5, the subject property is adequately suited for the proposed use. The property does fit the number of condominiums proposed in the draft concept plan in accordance with the R5 zoning lot standards. Number 6, the property has been vacant since 2006. The comprehensive plan lists development of vacant parcels as a priority. Number 7, there is a public need for the proposed use. The proposed amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan goals of increasing safe, sustainable homeownership and the quality of owner-occupied homes. The development is also in line with the need to develop vacant land and realize new home construction. Rather than developing a new greenfield, this project will be an infill of an existing vacant lot that was once developed. Number 8, the municipality has thoroughly planned and zoned its land use per the comprehensive plan, and the proposed use is contemplated by such plan. There is a need. According to a local realtor, Freeport hasn't had enough housing on the market this past year. Many people are moving from bigger cities to smaller, more spacious areas such as Freeport, and the development of high-end condominiums near a large park area, bike trails, and golf course could help fill the gap that we're seeing in the housing market right now. Number 9, the proposed development is anticipating more than $6 million in expenditures, investment, without the need of bank funding. I present these to you. Council has indicated that there should be a motion made to approve these, seconded, and voted on. That being done, that being accomplished, then we could look forward moving from a vote on R2 to R5, because strictly from what I've heard tonight, what I've heard before, is that we are voting on the zoning change. We're not voting on the project, we're not voting on how many condos, we're not voting on retention programs, we're not voting on setbacks, we're not voting on how many trees are gonna be saved or not saved. Put the emotional stuff away, we're voting on an amendment to change the zoning so that the developers will work with the neighbors, will work with the city management to develop a project that fits even better than what's been proposed before. I agree with some of the councilmen who said here, we need to see some changes in the plan. Is 32 the right number? Who knows? But we're all concerned about a lot of issues, but we're not talking about those issues tonight. We're talking about the zoning change, period. Other questions?
Mayor?
Alderman Borneman.
Thank you. For either, I guess, city manager, Director Boyer, mayor herself, has anyone been contacted by the Park District, and has the Park District raised an objection to this map amendment?
I've talked to Ron Schneider, the executive director for the Park District. His major concern is stormwater. There's the spill well or dam that runs through Yellow Creek there in Cray Park, that he would like to make sure that any stormwater discharge is to the, I guess I would say the lower end of that spill well, that is past the spill well and not dumping into the spill well itself.
That was the extent of the concerns.
That was extended concerns we discussed, yes.
Okay. Can, I guess to stay on that topic, the trees that line Park Boulevard, that area, is that park property or is that private property to the east?
Again, Madam Mayor, thank you. It's my understanding that it's park property. They maintain it. They maintain the medium. It goes back to some type of intergovernmental agreement that we have with the park district.
Okay. I'm just going to keep going if that's all right. Typically the mayor is not casting a vote on an issue unless there's a tiebreaker. That's not the case for this amendment. Can you explain that?
I'll let the legal counsel explain it.
Thank you.
So typically there are three situations where the mayor can cast a vote. One of them is, as you mentioned, to break a tie. Another situation is if there's a supermajority vote that gets triggered there. So in this case, because of the objection petition, that triggered a 2/3 supermajority vote. That's another reason then where the mayor would vote. There's another situation, the third, where the mayor would vote if at least half of the aldermen have voted in favor of it, then the mayor can vote. So in this case, if half of the aldermen, at least four vote in favor of it, then that triggers the opportunity for the mayor to vote as well.
And when you say supermajority, that's out of how many people? The 8 council members, or is it the 9, including the mayor?
It'd be the 8, but I think using the math, 8 or 9, 2/3 is still 2/3 of 8 or 2/3 of 9 is still 6.
Thank you.
If my math is right.
I think you're right. And then to address a couple things, I've heard this through the many emails I've received, calls, text messages I've received, and one of the public comments tonight talked about how the city can't afford this project. Am I missing something about what the city is going to pay on this project? Let me rephrase that.
Yeah,
Has the city committed any funds whatsoever to this project?
The city has not committed any funds to this project. The staff has not committed any funds to this project. And I don't know of a council member that's voted to appropriate any funds towards this project.
Okay. And I know Mr. Burberry said we're focusing on this isolated issue of the map amendment, but it's just been so intermingled. I felt like it was appropriate to ask those questions. Was there an independent engineer hired or consulted by the city regarding this project?
Yes.
And what was the extent of that representation?
I'll have to refer some of this to Mr. Boyer, but it's my understanding that he looked at some of the preliminary plans. We were looking at a subdivision plat, but since that time, that's been withdrawn, and we're looking at condominium plat. But
yes, that's correct. Manager Bukas, Strand reviewed the plans. They had a number of questions that would not really be able to be answered appropriately until the final plat was brought forward.
All right, and then lastly, I'd like to address, people have mentioned a flyer that came out. One of the statements in the flyer was that the Zoning Board of Appeals voted not to recommend this development. Was the Zoning Board of Appeals voting on the development or the map amendment?
The Zoning Board of Appeals voted on the map amendment and 3 variances to the plan, to their plat, I guess I should say. They were reviewing the plat as well, and since
Okay.
that time, the plat has been withdrawn because now we're going to do a condominium plat versus a subdivision plat.
Okay. So is it accurate that the Zoning Board of Appeals voted not to recommend this development?
The zoning board voted 3 to deny it, and 2 abstentions.
Okay.
That's on the zoning map amendment.
Attorney Zito has a comment.
Yeah.
Right. So the motion that was before them, or the matter that was before them, was R2 to R5. So that's what they actually voted on. So they voted, the motion was made to deny the map amendment. That was voted 3 3 for denying, and 2 abstentions on that there. I think, was there some discussion about some of the development items that probably occurred during the public hearing? I think the answer to that is yes, but ultimately the vote that was before them was the R2 to R5.
Okay. So all right, because the flyer that came out stated that the Zoning Board of Appeals voted not to recommend this development, but they haven't voted on this development at it. Because that's not where we're at in this stage, right?
Correct. The development actually is going to go back before. So when we say development, from the city standpoint, that's the final plat. That's the actual development there. So the ZBA was just voting on the map amendment.
Okay.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney, then the fact-finding would have to be adopted that if the council is in agreement with Alderman Berberet, then since it's contrary, correct?
Correct. Because this did not come with a positive recommendation from the ZBA, if the city council wants to move forward with approving the map amendment, then it would need to make its own findings of facts or adopt the ones that, if everyone, or if at least a majority of you guys are in agreement with the findings of facts laid out by Alderman Berberet, then a motion would be needed to adopt those findings of facts as the council's own findings, similar to the way the ZBA did their own findings. You guys would just have to then adopt findings in the positive. There, I think Alderman Berberet kind of presented what he wrote together as a means of kind of putting it on paper so everyone can read them there. And if that's the will of the council to adopt those, or at least a majority of the council to adopt those, then you guys adopt them and then move forward with the vote on the underlying map amendment.
I'd make a motion to adopt.
Just to clarify, the findings of facts as presented by Alderman Berberet.
Yes.
So we have a motion made by Alderman Monroe to adopt the fact findings as presented by Alderman Berberet. Is there a second to just the fact finding?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Misick. Is there any other discussion on just the fact finding? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Busker?
Aye.
Shadle?
No.
Misick?
Aye.
Berberet?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
Monroe?
Aye.
Ross?
No.
Parker?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-2.
Okay, so now we have that fact finding has been adopted. So back to the ordinance with the adoption of the fact finding. More discussion. Alderman Borneman.
If the council votes to deny this map amendment, would the applicants be allowed to refile? And if so, when?
So if the map amendment is not approved, then it would be a 1-year waiting period, unless during that 1-year waiting period, new evidence were to come out that would warrant not tolling a second application for a year.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Busker.
Yes, just kind of sitting here trying to process this. If we don't move this forward, there's no more discussion, at least for a year. And by that time, someone that's willing to invest close to roughly $7 million into our city could just decide that, I'm going to just let that property go and it's going to be a weed field. If we move this forward, at least there's still discussion, and I think everyone here has been willing to listen to more discussion. So I don't think just changing the zoning variance is going to be, or changing the zoning is going to be that crucial. We're all aware of what issues are going to be coming down, and there's plenty of time to put a halt to anything that could be concerning to the community. So, and talking with the developers here, they are willing to look at other options here. So, you know, it's really hard to sit here and just end a discussion tonight, just not considering changing this. So for what it's worth, I think just changing the zoning, I think that's the right decision here. That's where I'm going with it.
Alderman Shadle?
Mr. Zito, you said that this could be brought up if there was some other circumstance. Would that be as in a more favorable plat? If that was brought up, we could limit that year.
Right, so our code says that no application for a map amendment that's been denied shall be resubmitted for a period of 1 calendar year from the date of this city council action denying the application, except on grounds of new evidence or proof of substantially changed conditions found to be a valid ground for waiver of said 1-year limitation by the city council. So I think that if you guys were to deny the map amendment, there'd have to be something then that new evidence of I guess the findings there, because again, we're not talking about the development, you know, so for whatever reasons, if, you know, you're saying that if the council denies it, and you'd only be denying it if you didn't think that the map amendment met the findings of facts, right? So the developer would have to then bring something to you to show that the findings were met. Maybe that is, you know, a change in the plan, you know, something that triggers that, shows that it is actually, you know, more similar, you know, or that, you know, that the use is similar to the surrounding properties or something else, something along those lines, or just anything that would alter those findings of facts that, you know, the council found to be in the negative.
Thank you.
Alderman Burberry?
Attorney Zito, clarification. Whatever, let's say it's voted down tonight, they have to wait for a year unless there's some change in the plat.
Not in the plat, because remember, the plat's not before you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, in their plans.
Right, there would have to be some sort of new evidence that's presented.
Does that go back to ZBA? Does it go back to Planning Commission? Does it come to us directly?
You know, our ordinance doesn't say, but I mean, I would imagine it would make most sense to actually take it back to ZBA before then sending it back to council,
all over again,
so to speak. Right.
Thank you.
That being said, though, you guys have taken a vote on the fact that the findings of facts, you know, it was a 6-2 vote on the findings of fact, and I understand that this is just discussion. I think everyone just wants to make sure that everyone knows who's on first and who's on second there. But again, I just kind of remind everyone that, hey, the vote was 6-2. Not, in fact, you know, it's not completely beyond the realm of possibility that between now and a vote that, you know, if you voted in favor of the findings of fact, that you would still vote no, but it wouldn't necessarily be a logical vote that, for an older person to do that. So.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the passage of Ordinance 2021-31 for the map amendment?
Busker,
Aye.
Shadle,
No.
Mysick,
Aye.
Burberry,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
Monroe,
Aye.
Ross,
No.
Parker,
Aye.
and Miller.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-2.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 8, which is the second reading of Ordinance 2021-32. Madam Clerk, could you please read this for the record?
One moment, please.
Certainly.
Ordinance approving and authorizing the city to enter into an option agreement for purchase of real estate with Green Healthcare Solutions of Illinois, GHSI, regarding property located at 101 to 111 South Liberty Avenue, commonly known as the Metal-Clad Raleigh Building.
Madam Clerk, could you please note that at 7:20, Alderman Misick needed to excuse himself from the remainder of the meeting?
Thank you.
On to item number 8, Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council recently approved a special use application for Green Healthcare Solutions of Illinois to operate an adult use cannabis craft growing facility at 101, 111 South Liberty under several conditions. One of those conditions was that the business purchase the property from the city. This ordinance is approving an option agreement to purchase the real estate known as the Raleigh Clad Building at 101, 111 South Liberty Avenue, and a staff's recommendation that council approve ordinance 2021-32 regarding this option.
Questions, council?
Mayor.
Alderman Ross.
As I had asked a question at the last council meeting in reference to this. Since there is a school down there right across the street at State and Main, which is approximately 600 to 700 feet from this building here, is it legal for them to do so? Due to the growing and the school being there. I spoke with
Manager Bucus, did you want to
Yes.
answer that?
Yes, it is legal. There are no state setback requirements. The only setback requirements we have are ones that city imposed, and when we changed the ordinance to allow cannabis within the river redevelopment area, we basically suspended any setback requirements.
we met the setback requirements.
There are no setback requirements for it.
Okay, there are no setback requirements, excuse me. There are no setback requirements for dispensaries
Or any type of adult cannabis,
to be grown.
correct?
But remember that ordinance, this was not an ordinance approving a dispensary, it was craft grower.
Craft growers, okay. So, okay, it's not, okay, let's say craft growers then. They'll be growing the cannabis, but there's no, they have rules and regulations, but nothing saying how far from one point to the other point.
That's correct. The setbacks there are no setbacks when it comes to the river front redevelopment district.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to get some clarification on it, because I know there was 1,000 feet that had been spoke about, and I'd just like to clear it up, so it's, no questions asked, and we don't have to worry about anything.
Right. No, we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Shadle?
Just to clarify on that a little further, if I'm remembering correctly, there was some very stringent security measures that needed to be done on the part of these growers at their facility as well.
That's
That would
correct.
very well protect it from anybody in and out or otherwise.
Right. The state requires a lot of that too, and they have to have security on staff and everything.
Thank you.
I guess we don't need a motion, never mind.
So if there's no further discussion?
One more thing.
Sure.
Back to Alderman Shadle, so they're going to have strict security. They'll have armed security.
That I don't know.
They don't, okay, but they do have cameras, and, okay, that would be like, okay, one of the main things. To be on the safe side than the sorry side.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, debate, council?
I
Madam
just
Clerk,
have
could you, yes, I'm sorry,
One
go ahead.
quick comment that I feel this is a perfect opportunity to get a building away from our portfolio and into private hands and move it along.
If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the passage of ordinance 2021-32?
Busker.
Aye.
Shadle.
Aye.
Berberet.
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
Monroe, Ross,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item number 9 is the second reading of Ordinance 2021-33. Could you please read this?
An ordinance authorizing the sale and/or disposal of certain personal property owned by the city, including city-owned fiber conduit, public works equipment, police department supplies and accessories, library equipment, and Pretzel City Transit buses.
Director Boyer?
Thank you, Your Honor. The city's identified several pieces of equipment, surplus inventory we'd like to get rid of, some of which will be auctioned, others will just be disposed of. Staff recommends the approval of the disposal of the ordinance.
And is it my understanding that there's some additional items that were not listed that you want to put on there?
I believe we've already discussed them just shortly. Let me yield to Manager Booth.
Yes, if you don't mind, Madam Mayor. There is one item we wanted to add to the list, and that was some conduit that we have on Empire Street. We're looking at one cell with 7 cells, 16 by 13 microwave, micro duct, running approximately 3,653 linear feet. Should be added to the list.
Did you have something else, Director?
We also add the Lee Boy, the small path paver. As we'll discuss later, that's part of a larger agreement with Alto for the new paver.
So in order to pass this, we need to have an amendment for those additional items to be added.
I believe those are added on here.
Yeah, they just weren't on the first reading, correct?
Oh, okay.
Correct. So because the first reading of the ordinance did not include the conduit, the 1 cell within the 7 cell conduits, and then the Leeboy paver there, we would need a motion to amend the exhibits list to add those 2 items so that you can now vote on this ordinance that's before you, this version of the ordinance that's before you as the second reading.
Motion to amend.
I'll second.
So we have a motion to amend as stated by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Monroe. Is there any other discussion concerning the amendment itself? Can we do it? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. So now before you then, council, is the second reading of Ordinance 2021-33 that is amended. Alderman Berberet?
Could I please ask a technical question from a non-techie? This is fiber that is in the ground now?
It is fiber conduit.
Conduit, and
It's a 7
it's just
channel.
a conduit?
Yes.
Okay, there's nothing going through it?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. But if we offered for sale,
It is 1 channel of 7. So we have a 7-channel microduct. We're asking to, and we'll be talking about this later tonight, sell one of those channels.
this gets-
Attorney Zito?
And for those, and I'll apologize for those that are techie, because I'm not there. So the conduit, if you imagine the conduit, it's a tube, right? Each duct, though, imagine there are 7 smaller channels running through that bigger conduit tube. We're looking to sell one of the littler channels within the big duct there to this one particular company. But given the fact that it's our property, the conduit's our property, we have to declare that one little duct as surplus in order to sell it.
Thank you.
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Alderman Ross?
Yes, and all these items that are for sale can be found on the city website, listed on the city website.
It's
They will
not
be.
been advertised,
Right.
no.
When we advertise it, will be.
They will be listed on the city website. Okay, thank you.
If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the passage of the amended version of 2021-33?
Busker,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Berberet,
Aye.
Monroe,
Aye.
and I skipped Borneman. Don't know why. Sorry.
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, item number 10 is the first reading of ordinance 2021-34. Could you please read this?
Ordinance amending Section 1062.12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Freeport regarding use of the Cemetery Perpetual Fund.
Thank you. Manager Bukas.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city currently has a perpetual fund for the care of the city cemetery and the sale of grave sites, which we currently charge $686 for, is placed into this perpetual fund. Although the codified ordinances established the perpetual fund and the fees that have to be placed in it, the code does not state how or when these funds can be used. Under current Illinois law, money in the municipal cemetery perpetual fund can be used for maintenance, repair, or equipment for the cemetery. What staff's recommending is that the City Council amend Chapter 1062 to allow the annual interest earned in the perpetual fund to be used for general maintenance and repairs of the cemetery.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
motion to move this forward.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Parker to move ordinance 2021-34 on to the next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there any further discussion on this topic, council, before we move on?
Mayor,
Yes.
could you repeat the motion in the second?
Busker, Parker.
Thank you.
And we will move on to item number 11, which is the first reading of ordinance 2021-36. Could you please read this?
Ordinance authorizing sale and maintenance agreement with Unite for lease of one inner duct conduit on Empire Street.
Director Boyer, continue your conversation.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we have ordinance 10-214.37 that requires that we put fiber conduit on all major street projects. We've done that on Empire. During the reconstruction, we installed approximately 3,700 feet of 7-channel microduct conduit. We have Unite Private Networks has requested that we sell them one of the microducts so that they can complete the 5G project that we started last year. They would also like to take on the maintenance agreement or become our maintenance provider for that conduit. So that would mean they would do the utility locates and they would do any maintenance that's required. And council approved the sales and maintenance agreement with UPN.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
one question. Is the maintenance, is that for all 7 channels or just for that one channel?
Yeah, it would be for essentially for all of our conduit that's in the ground. We don't expect there's really going to be much there to do, but if we, as we lease some of these other microducts out to fiber companies interested in building out the residential portion of this, they would be the company that we work through to get that fiber installed in the microducts. So.
Motion to move it forward.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Shadle to move ordinance 2021-36 on to the next regularly scheduled meeting. I just have one question, Director. It says that that UPN agrees to pay the city $20,000 for this, and at the end of that paragraph, it talks about material rate plus 21%. Can you explain that?
That's for the maintenance part of it. So when other companies come in and want fiber installed, their fee is essentially time and material plus 21%. So that's what they were saying.
Okay, gotcha.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker?
is this request for suspension, is that on the next one or is
That's the next one.
Okay.
Okay, then we will move on to item number 12, which is the first reading of ordinance 2021-37. Could you please read this?
Ordinance granting special use permit to allow the operation of an outdoor serving area at 1802 Southwest Avenue.
Thank you. Manager Bukas?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff received a special use application from the Bloomin' Apple, also known as Applebee's, for an outdoor dining area at 1802 Southwest Avenue. This property is currently zoned B3, Commercial and Wholesale Business District, and in the B3, restaurants with outdoor serving areas, unless otherwise permitted, as a sidewalk cafe or a parklet, need to come in as a special use. The petitioner recently secured a grant to improve their space with an outdoor seating area. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they've adapted quickly and have provided a temporary outdoor seating area where patrons were allowed to dine in an outdoor setting. The grant they received helps them secure funds to allow them to create a more permanent area for this outdoor dining. And the standards for granting special use permits include: 1, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, and general welfare. 2nd, the special use will not be injurious or to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate area for the purpose already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood. And 3, the establishment of special use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the adjacent property for uses permitted in the district. Per the LaSalle Sinclair factors: 1, the existing uses of the nearby property are similar to the proposed use. The property is located on a main commercial thoroughfare surrounded by mixed commercial uses from retail, office, restaurant, etc. The use of outdoor seating is consistent with mixed-use commercial throughout the thoroughfares, such as the one on Illinois 26. 2nd, property values of nearby property are not likely to diminish by the proposed use. Applebee's is proposing an improvement to the building which will only help the neighboring properties. 3rd, a relative hardship is not likely to be imposed on adjacent or nearby property owners by reason of the proposed use. The use may bring more patrons to the plaza off of Illinois Route 26 and ultimately benefiting neighboring businesses. 4th, the subject property is well suited for the proposed use. The proposed outdoor seating space will seamlessly fit within the property lines while still accommodating parking needs. 5th, the property is not vacant as presently zoned. 6th, there is a public need for a proposed use. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused a shift in business models across the world, and part of that is accommodating more outdoor arrangements for food and beverage businesses. Having an outdoor space during this time increases capacity for the business and provides a safer dining out option for consumers. In addition, the business is making an improvement to the space in a mixed-use commercial area that may bring more foot traffic to the adjacent mall. And 7th, the municipality has thoroughly planned and zoned its land use per the comprehensive plan dated September 21, 2020, and the proposed use is generally contemplates by such use. The comprehensive plan identifies the need to focus on gateways in the community, and Applebee's is one of the first places seen when coming into the city of Freeport. The Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on August 5th, 2021, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the special use application. The Plan Commission held a meeting on August 10th, 2021, and voted 7-0 to recommend approval of the special use application. And staff's recommending approval of the special use application for outdoor dining as well. Staff is also recommending and requesting that suspension of the rules to have first and second reading tonight.
Alderman Shadle.
I looked at the artist rendering that was attached, and I think it's a great facility that they're proposing, the way it's laid out with the fencing, and it's adjacent to the building. It's a very nice proposal.
Motion moving forward. Second.
One more question, Mayor.
Alderman Ross.
Are they going to put this to the north or to the east of the building?
North, I believe.
The drawing that I saw was, there's a fire exit door on the north side towards the west. It would be in that area, according to the drawing that I saw.
Northwest corner of the building, then?
Not all the way to the corner, but more to the west than this.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay, so First, we had a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Busker to move this ordinance forward. Then we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Parker to suspend the rules. Suspension of the rules is non-debatable and was passed by a 2/3 majority. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the suspension of the rules only?
Busker.
Aye.
Shadle.
Aye.
Berbere.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
Monroe.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
The suspension passes 7-0.
Manager Bucus, I'm guessing that they want to get on this as soon as possible. Is that the reason for that?
That is correct, Madam Mayor. They're trying to get into the last little bit of fall weather that they can.
So, is there any other discussion before you, council? Is the second reading, is final passage of this ordinance? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Busker.
Aye.
Shadle.
Aye.
Berbere.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
Monroe.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
And item number 13 is the adoption of Resolution 2021-39. Could you please read this?
Resolution ratifying collective bargaining agreement with Council 31 of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, Local 3367, AFL-CIO.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff's been negotiating with the American Federation of State and County and Municipal Employees for several months now, and we've come to an agreement between the two parties. It's a 4-year labor agreement, and the AFSCME members have voted to approve the agreement, and we'll be signing the agreement this Wednesday. Among a couple of changes that are being made in the agreement is that there are some changes to union rights to follow recent changes in a couple of court cases and by the General Assembly. We are increasing standby pay from $75 to $80 per week, and we also made some changes in how layoffs and bumping rights would be conducted. The wages for the term of the contract are 2% beginning May 1st, 2021, 2% effective May 1, 2022, 2% effective May 1, 2023, and 1% effective May 1, 2024. We've also included a memorandum of understanding as it relates to educational incentives that were approved in the 2017 contract, and the city's bargaining members are recommending that City Council approve the contract with the AFSCME as presented.
Discussion? I know this has been talked about many times in executive session, so what's your pleasure, council?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker?
motion to adopt our 2021-39.
Second that.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Shadle. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Busker.
Aye.
Shadle.
Aye.
Berbere.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
Monroe.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Item number 14 is the adoption of Resolution 2021-40. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving intergovernmental agreement with Stevenson County regarding water and sewer lines to Mill Race Crossing.
Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know at times I feel like a broken record here, but the City of Freeport and Stevenson County entered into an intergovernmental agreement, also known as an IGA, in January of 2006. This IGA dealt with the development of the Mill Race Crossing project area. In the agreement, the city and county agreed to jointly fund the extension of water and sanitary sewer to the area. It was also required that properties that receive water and or sanitary sewer services to annex to the city, and if not contiguous to the city, sign a pre-annexation agreement. The City Council discussed this agreement at their August 9, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting. We now have a proposed intergovernmental agreement between the city and Stevenson County to provide water and sewer service to the Mill Race crossing area. The county will be receiving approximately $8 million in American Rescue Plan Act money, and they plan to invest $4 to $6 million of that money in extending water and sanitary sewers to the Mill Race crossing area. Ingrown Farms needs the water and sewer to expand their business. The Greater Freeport Partnership has also been receiving inquiries on the property. The Mill Race area is a prime area for development. The planned route for the water and sewer lines is to go down Lamb Road, and the county board has formally approved the new IGA. The agreement also, the agreement requires the county to acquire all the easements for the construction and maintenance of the two mains and have the city named on those easements. The county guarantees the payment of all costs incurred in the construction of the water and sanitary sewer mains, and the 2006 IGA has the city and county splitting those costs, so this is a benefit to the city. The IGA also requires properties being served by the water and sanitary sewer system have to annex to the city or have a pre-annexation agreement with the city. The IGA requires mill race property to pay the same rate as city residents. The current or the 2006 agreement has the same language in it. Something in the new proposed intergovernmental agreement is that the city pays 50% of the fees to the county for roughly 5 years or until December 31st, 2028. A new water and sanitary sewer line will require little maintenance during this 5-year time. Based on water and sanitary sewer usage, estimates from the ingrown farms, the annual utility bill would be, if metered, their monthly bill would be $3,997, or roughly $4,000, and if their sewer is not metered, it would be roughly $6,070. We're using ingrown farms as an example here because currently they are the only ones that are currently would be hooked to the system. If ingrown farm meters their sanitary water due to evaporation, etc., their monthly bill would be, as I said, approximately $4,000. This amount includes the $45 capital improvement fee that goes to the water fund and the $45 capital improvement fee that goes to the sanitary sewer fund. A 50% rebate to the county would be approximately $2,000 per month or $24,000 per year. If ingrown farms does not meter their sanitary sewer waste, then their monthly bill, as I said, would be approximately $6,060, which would mean that the county would receive approximately $3,050 per month or $36,600 per year. In the spirit of intergovernmental cooperation, the need to have industrial sites available for new businesses and expansion of businesses in the city and the county, and the fact that the city will have no direct capital involvement in this project, I strongly support their request. The new IGA also requires the county to pay for storage tanks. We know at least one storage tank will be needed for the site, and that will be the subject of a future or the next intergovernmental agreement. In the recapture agreement, the city is excluded from paying any recapture charges for city-owned property, and the boundaries of the recapture agreement still have to be determined. The proposed extension of the water and sanitary sewer lines to Mill Race Crossing will be at no cost to the city. We'll be given a $6 million asset and have the possibility for future expansion and funding revenues. I therefore recommend that the City Council adopt the resolution.
Alderman Borneman?
Thank you. Something I meant to, or since the last time we met, I have a question with regards to the city's current water system and its ability to support such an extensive addition. Do we have any concerns about that? I'm sure that's something that's been thought through, but can you kind of walk me through that?
We've talked over with Firm Graham, and we currently have the capacity to service them. We're in the process right now of doing well number 11, which is from the test well is producing better than we thought. We still have well number 12 that will be bringing online or starting construction on in the next 2 years. So we'll be having capacity there as well as we take off some of the older lines. One thing that we have a concern with is making sure that the water doesn't stagnate out there, and that's why we're looking at some kind of storage tank for redundant water supply in case something happens, plus we may be looking at a future well as well.
Okay, and then a follow-up question. So we'd be adding another kind of industrial user to our system. Are we anticipating to run into the same issues that we have with our current industrial users with the environmental compliance issues?
Yes, they'll have to follow the pretreatment process as our current industrial users are required to do as well.
So I guess to summarize, this project isn't taking money away from the city's perspective. We're not placing money towards this that we could be using elsewhere, right?
That's correct. No city money is involved in this project.
And independent contractors are building this pipeline out to in Mill Race Crossing, right?
We're treating the county as we would any other developer, like we had tonight. They would be responsible for extending the water and sewer lines, and then once they're completed and pass all our tests, then we would accept them to become our property.
Okay. And lastly, the funds that the county is receiving are funds that they had to present this project for in an application, and it was approved, or has it not been approved yet?
No, the funds that the county's planning on using are the same funds that we just talked about earlier tonight about our projects with the lift stations and the police technology. So they're getting a lump sum. The counties are getting a different lump sum than we're getting. It comes out of a different pot, but it's all the American Rescue Plan money.
But just so I understand this right, the county had to get the use of these funds approved to get the funds, right? Through the ARP. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
If I understand correctly, they didn't need any special permission to use these funds for the project they're proposing. Just like we don't have any special permission, we just have to make sure we follow the guidelines and that we account for the money that we use. In their case, they were limited like us as to what they could use it for. They could use theirs for social services as well as water and sewer. And as I mentioned earlier, there's now some police technology funds that or areas that funds can be used for, but they're following the guidelines that they have to follow for the American Rescue Plan money, just like we will be.
That answers my questions.
And quite honestly, if they don't do this with that ARP money, they'll never do it because they won't be able to budget $6 million to get it accomplished. So that's the reason that they want to use those funds for this project. Alderman Berberet.
Manager Bucher, she said the county in effect will be treated like a developer. Then we'll have to do the final approval when are we going to select engineers and contractors, or will they do all that bidding along with us, or just by them?
They will be doing that.
That's all their
work,
responsibility.
and hoping that they go with Firm Graham because they're also our engineers, and Firm Graham knows our system. And
That's my thinking, is that if we want to get the people we're used to working with, the county doesn't really do that many water and sanitary lines, do they? No, they don't.
They don't do any.
They don't do any. So
Yeah.
we're the experts.
Right.
Okay.
What's the timeline of the project, and when's the expected completion date? Once the funds are, just rough estimate, like 9 months from.
Well, figure at least 3 months to do all the design work. During the time they're doing design work, they got to get easements. And then you're looking at another 3 months for Illinois EPA to do the review work on this. So that's 6 months right there before they even bid it out for construction.
So starting next spring, most likely.
Probably, yes.
Madam Mayor.
And I think aren't they under the same, have to spend it by a certain date?
Yes, they're in the same guidelines we're under. They have to spend it by December 31st, 2024.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Shadle.
Alderman Borneman touched on the future, well, at this point, the Grove facility having issues with sending water and needing the pretreatments and whatever. Any future factories out there would be, in my opinion, a lot easier to get into that mode as they're building their factory. They would be taking into account any issues that might be coming into the sewer. I think it would be very easy to have that handled in the right way right from the start because of the new facility. Another question with the well, the possibility of a future well if this takes off and we get 6 new facilities out there. Was there anything in that IGA about the financing of the well? Is that something that's discussed later, or was that?
We did talk about a well, but I don't think it was specifically stated in the IGA. We did specifically state that the storage tanks would be the responsibility of the county. And that would be one thing that we'd be looking at, depending on who's coming in. If there's new businesses coming in, that they would have to make some kind of capital investment in that well. Right now, I think the new well is costing us about $2.1 million.
So, excuse me, but would be something, if I'm understanding right, that would be negotiated with the county at a later date then?
That's correct.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker?
yeah, motion to adopt resolution 2140.
I'll second it.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Rowe. Any further discussion?
Sorry, one more follow-up.
Sure.
The well out there is kind of based on the success of new businesses moving in right now?
Right.
Okay. That's all I had.
Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Busker?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
Berbere?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
Monroe?
Aye.
Ross? Is absent at the moment for the vote. Parker?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item number 15 is the adoption of Resolution 2021-42. Could you please read this?
Resolution authorizing submittal of Rebuild Illinois Transit Grant.
And presented by PCOM Grant Coordinator.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me talk this evening. It's been a long night. I don't know how y'all do it. I'm tired. All right. I'm going to read this now because last time I was kind of befuddled when I was talking, so here we go. Pretzel City Area Transit provides on-demand transportation services within the Freeport and Stevenson County. We are ready. Pretzel City Area Transit has been looking into the safety and security of our driver and riders for a while, and have continually gotten quotes over the years to make sure we have the most up-to-date information, technology, cybersecurity, rider and driver liability. We have updated these quotes yearly, hoping to implement installing cameras out on our buses and vans for a while now. Thanks to our due diligence, we have all the information needed to apply for this grant and to keep this camera project running. A local representative from Mobile Video Systems, Inc. has provided us with an all-in quote for purchasing and installation of cameras. All cables needed, all connectors, server, and video footage. Event-based video, live tracking, and live streaming video, and vandal-proof shell so that when we ask for bids, we can compare apples to apples. These cameras will provide quality assurance, security, decreased liability insurance, accountability, and general peace of mind to the rider and drivers of Pretzel City Area Transit. The cost of a camera installation et al. Is $65,000. This is a 100% reimbursable grant. No match is required nor needed. This project has no effect on historic preservation because it involves equipment purchase and installation. I reiterate, this is a 100% reimbursable grant, so no match is required. All the money comes from Rebuilding Illinois. This is a capital gains grant. They're giving away money to help rebuild Illinois and the transit system. This is only for transit system right here. We have 9 buses and 3 vans. We have 1 bus that's in reserve and 1 van that's in reserve. But this is the quote we got to keep things going for at least a couple years. This is all the costs incurring. So that way I can figure out other grants to keep it running. Now this quote rather, is also talking about a server that's off premises. This also has a panic button thing, so when the driver sees something happening, he could press that, I shouldn't say panic button, it's a button. You press the button, so it makes a note on the digital feed what happened when.
Is there any questions?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Monroe?
are there any operating costs for this, cellular service, whatever it is it's is it delivering the video live back?
This quote that they gave me is for 2 years all in. That includes all the memory, all the server data, all the storage, everything that not just the equipment, it's the software, hardware, personnel, everything. 2 years, $65,000.
After 2 years, then what happens? Is the equipment?
Well, you know me, I'm looking for money, so I'm going to be actively looking for grants to help support this.
So what do you think the anticipated cost would be to support it after the 2 years is up?
They are looking at $13,500, which, depending on the grant that I have for Pretzel City Area Transit, whether we can absorb that as operational costs.
Alderman Monroe?
And that's all of the vehicles, including the reserve?
Correct.
Awesome. Okay.
I think this is very important for us. We have a lot of older people who ride our buses, and if something would happen, regarding their health or having a health emergency, we're covered liability-wise if something should happen, saying, the driver did everything they could possibly do.
Mayor.
Alderman Ross?
Now, the video, would the video be viewed in your office there?
We have a operations manager, and I am hoping it's going to be in her office, live view, live feed.
And
That's what I would like it at.
Okay, one more follow-up. Now, the storage, would it be done in a cloud, or how that would?
It's going to be done within within the mobile incorporated software. I mean, they're going to be taking care of that for us. We don't have the capability, and we don't want to buy any more equipment like that. We don't know that information regarding our computers. I don't want anything to break down. Gosh, something would happen, and there goes all our stuff. We already have EcoLane, which helps us pick up, drop off all the residents within Stevenson County. I don't think our software could handle this kind of information.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, it sounds awesome. Is there any opportunity to share that video with the police department, the sheriff's department, any of the 911?
I do not know about that. I do know these are the same persons. Well, the person I was talking to indicated that they did work for the Freeport Police Department. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but he tried to sell me on that. I go, well, like I said, this is just a bid.
Right.
This is just showing me when we put a bid in the paper, this is what people should be bidding on. I want so much gigabyte information. I want so much software. I want so many cameras. I want so many receivers. I want microphones. If they don't have that same capability and their price is lower, there's a reason for that. They're not giving me the same apples to apples. So, I mean, they're not going to be doing it, but somebody will be doing it.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Busker?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that we don't have cameras in those buses already, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution R 2021-42.
I second it.
Mr. Ross. Stereo.
All right, we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross for the adoption of Resolution 2021-42. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Busker?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
Berberet?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
Monroe?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
And that resolution is adopted 8-0.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Item number 16 is the adoption of Resolution 2021-43. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving 3-year extension on Oracle loan.
Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. As most of the council members know, we had a revolving loan fund established through the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, also known as DCO. And then several years ago, back in 2018, DCO informed us that they were discontinuing the loan fund program across the state. At that time, we had to turn in any existing grant funds that we had. plus any type of remaining loans that may have been outstanding. One of those outstanding loans was Oracle Development LLC. In June of 2020, Oracle Development LLC requested an interest-only COVID modification for their last 6 months of the original redevelopment loan that was due to mature on August 1st, 2021. The original loan was for the Riley office building. Now the city has received a request from Oracle Development to renew their loan with a 3-year term at an interest rate of 2.5%. This is the same interest rate that they are currently paying to us. The primary tenant to their Raleigh office building has left that facility, and that's the reason why they are coming to us this time. The total loan amount to be repaid is $20,310.53. Staff requests that the council approve Resolution R 2021-43 to modify the loan with Oracle Development LLC for 3 years.
Council?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker?
motion to adopt R 2021-43.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll in the adoption of this resolution?
Busker?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
Berbere?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
Monroe?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
And item number 17 is the adoption of Resolution 2021-44. Could you please read this?
Resolution authorizing and approving the purchase of a street paver and roller from Altorfer Incorporated.
Thank you. Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city of Freeport's got approximately 130 miles of roads. Many of them are in fair to poor condition. It's staff's opinion that the city is best served by having its own paving capacity. Therefore, we've approached Altofer, and they've made some recommendations on a 2021 Weiler 14-foot paver. This would allow us to do one pass down and one pass back on a normal 28-foot road, and also includes a used roller of the appropriate size to get proper compaction so that fewer lifts are required to accomplish the job. They've also offered a $30,000 trade on our current Lee Boy Pathmaster. So I believe that this is a very good value for the city. So staff requests the council approve the resolution authorizing the purchase of the paver and the roller.
Alderman Shadle.
Was this put out for bid, or how did you come up with this company? And this
Well, there's a limited amount of equipment that's out there on the market. Altofer, there are a couple of different ones. We already have a Lee Boy. We weren't real pleased with the way it was designed. We feel that there was also a Caterpillar model we looked at, but the Weiler is a far less expensive option. It's not as heavy duty as, say, a highway paver would be. So we feel like it's really the best selection and by far the best value. So.
Very good, thank you.
Alderman Parker.
Motion to approve that.
Second it. Mayor,
Alderman Ross.
Director Boyd, the training, would that come from the company or what?
Absolutely.
How operated?
Yes, this includes training with some of their seasoned professionals. So we were planning to do, if we pass this agreement, we're looking at doing some training on starting at Lynn, and we'll do some cul-de-sacs and things like that, so we can really understand how the functionality of the equipment will work. It has a lot of technology incorporated into it, so it's going to make a big difference in terms of the quality and the speed of what we're able to accomplish.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Monroe.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Boyer, is there anything, can it be delivered soon enough to do any road work this year, or is this a next year?
I believe that if we approve this tonight, I believe we'll accept delivery sometime mid-September. I think we'll have an opportunity to get a couple of these other projects that I wanted to get done completed. I'm looking at, we're working on Cimarron now. We were hoping to do some work on Manor and Carthage, and then one more that escapes me, but yeah. Lynn, of course, Lynn, yeah. So we'll see what we can accomplish. We're shooting high. We may fall short, but we'll give it our best.
So if we accept it tonight, it's passed, they can go make the purchase. Perfect.
And the funding for this is coming from the 2021 road bond that just passed. So.
Thank you, Director Boyer.
Alderman Borneman?
I'm just, out of curiosity, procedurally, this wasn't something that needed to be bid out? Like a squad, like the next one I see, squad cars need to be bid out. This is $250,000.
This,
Doesn't need to be?
this is a state bid through Sourcewell.
Okay.
They're like a government agency, so it is basically a state bid. That's why we didn't do a formal bid.
I was just curious. I wasn't familiar with the process. Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, we have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Ross, to approve the adoption of Resolution 2021-44.
Busker?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Shadle?
Aye.
Berbere?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
Monroe?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Item number 18 is the adoption of Resolution 2021-45. Could you please read this?
Resolution authorizing and approving final payment to Cahoy Pump Service, Inc.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Cavoy Pump Services was awarded a contract to drill, construct a well, and test that new well, number 11, at the fields of Freeport. During the course of drilling, Cavoy experienced equipment malfunction and breakage. This was a new piece of equipment, and it was not expected that this type of failure would occur. It took several months for Cavoy to retrieve the broken part out of the well, and this in turn caused them to miss our deadlines for completion and testing. Based on our contract, the city can charge contractual liquidated damages. Cahoy has asked for a reduction in the amount of liquidated damage we can levy against them. In exchange, Cahoy will continue to house and maintain all the pumping equipment at their Durand, Illinois facility until called upon to install the equipment, which is projected to be around August 31st of 2022. Cahoy understands the state is fluid and may change as construction for the water treatment plant progresses. Maintenance will include rotating the motor shaft on a monthly basis with supporting documentation that this is being done. Additionally, the equipment will be fully covered by Cahoy's insurance while it's at their storage facility. Cahoy will offer a full 2-year extended warranty on the pumping equipment beginning at the date of startup. There will be no escalation of costs, whether it be equipment or labor, for the pumping equipment or the electrical gear installation, along with no cost of carrying the financing for the equipment the city of Freeport currently is purchasing. The Cahoy Group will mobilize to the site to begin the final disinfection and installation of the pump within 2 weeks once they are so notified. The city could levy as much as $111,500 in contractual liquidated damages against Cahoy. Our consulting engineer agrees with Cahoy that installing the submergible pump at this time would not be of our best interest, as the water plant still needs to be built. I'm recommending that the City Council adopt resolution number R 2021-45, approving the settlement agreement with Cahoy Pump Services. This settlement includes levying $55,750 in contractual liquidated damages.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
motion to adopt R 2021-45.
Second that.
We have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Shadle. Any further discussion, council? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Busker?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
Berbere?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
Monroe?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Item number 19 is approval of a squad car bid. Chief Summers?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On June 28th, we had one of our squad cars responding to a call, and that vehicle was involved in an accident which totaled that vehicle. F4, the vehicle that was involved in the accident, is one of our main patrol vehicles, and it's very important to our fleet. We are in need of replacing that vehicle. We had switched out, converted one of the old K9 vehicles that had low mileage to save on some cost, as opposed to getting a new vehicle at that time. Earlier this year, we had purchased 2 new Durangos for our fleet, but because of the computer chip shortage, we still haven't received those vehicles. We went out for bid for these. Busker Auto Group came back with a bid of $32,480 for a 2021 Chevy Silverado. That didn't meet all the specifications that we had requested. It could still be useful to us in the form that it was there, but it doesn't have a full second row door, which would be important for getting prisoners in and out. Morrow Brothers Ford submitted, they hold the state bid. Their bid was $36,890 for a 2020 Ford F-150 police responder. They have this vehicle on the lot, so we could go down there and get that as soon as we can. Bryden Ford also submitted a bid for $71,786 with no specifications of what this vehicle was. The staff would request that the acceptance of the Morrow Brothers Ford bid for $36,890. We recently received the insurance check for the vehicle that was totaled out, and that was $32,088, or $32,088. The remainder of the funds would become from our vehicle fund 31-02-742.
Yeah.
Alderman Parker?
Question, how soon can you go get it if we approve it tonight?
As soon as the finance director could give me a check.
Okay, finance director. Very fast, okay.
With the approval of this.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
I do have a question.
Yes,
So,
Alderman Monroe.
the state bids, the bid prices that are out there, those are quite, don't ask me why, been a lot of conferences for police officers in the last summer. So why do they seem so much higher than what I'm seeing elsewhere? Is it because of the Illinois state bid that's out there? Because I was actually just at a show in Texas where a fully it's a fully police loaded version. It's a Pursuit Package Tahoe was $36,000 something. It was another $5,000 to fully outfit it with the glass, the protective glass. How much more is it?
I don't know for sure. I don't know if Manager Bucas can answer that question. I just know that's our state is always does its own thing a little different. Manager Bucas could probably explain that a little better. Maybe.
Fair enough. So, okay.
Alderman Shadle?
In reference to that, it was always my understanding that the state bid cars were set up with a heavier suspension and a lot of more performance rated equipment than the one specifically at Bakker's would have been one off the lot.
And these the spotlights are included. The other things that are specific to policing are included in this, as opposed to a stock vehicle that kind of matches the description.
Okay.
And we have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Ross. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the approval?
Busker?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
Berberet?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
Monroe?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item number 20 is the approval of Chief Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator position. Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the city of Freeport owns and operates a Class 1 wastewater treatment plant. We treat residential, commercial, industrial wastewater. The Illinois EPA requires a Class 1 operator to be the responsible operator in charge. We have more than one individual with a Class 1 operation license, and I'd like the council to approve this new position so that we can bring them on as our responsible operator in charge.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
motion to approve.
Second.
Director Boyer, this is a position that we've discussed. Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Uh,
Alderman Borneman?
Just a comment, again, as you touched on extensively, so it might seem like a drastic rush to approve this, but we have been briefed on the necessity for this many times, so just wanted to make that clear.
And we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Busker.
Aye.
Shadle.
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
Monroe.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
And that moves us to reports of department heads. Finance.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Was there anything from community development?
No check.
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Public Works?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Fire?
Madam Mayor, thank you. Just wanted to report out that we have 3 firefighters that are going to be graduating from paramedic school tomorrow evening at Swedish American Hospital in Rockford. So we're very proud of them and their accomplishments. Firefighter, paramedic Ryan Thomas, firefighter paramedic Dylan Oberly, and firefighter paramedic Emily Gooston. We're going to enjoy that tomorrow evening. Informing the council that firefighter paramedic Joe Klatt resigned short notice last week. He accepted a position with the Itasca Fire Department in Illinois. The police department and the fire department are going to take a little pickup softball game on August 19th at Reed Park at 6 p.m. If you want to stop by and support us and cheer us on and watch us have a little fun together and build that teamwork that we so richly enjoy every day when we're out on the street protecting our citizens. That's all I have this evening, ma'am.
Is that at the Little Cubs? Or at an actual dime?
All I know is I'm bringing my cowbell to ring bells while I'm there.
We can play Little Cubs so the fire department has a good chance of hitting one out.
For sure.
All right, then. We'll move on to police department.
I just wanted to report and or commend the cruise night committee and Lieutenant Dykema for just a safe event that was downtown. We didn't have any incidents that went along with that. It went off well. I know Lieutenant Dykema put about a year's worth of planning into the event with the cruise night committee also, and it went off very, very well. And I would just like to end with, we didn't do so well in the bell ringing, but it'll be a different showing at the softball game.
And in the spirit of competition, library.
Thank you, Mayor Miller. I'll make mine short tonight. The next Rise and Shine in September is going to be at the library. So if you want to join us, it's on Thursday, September 9th. And I didn't write what time it was, but it's in the morning. I think it's at 7:30. Yeah, at 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you. IT? Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. First off, I'd like to announce that Kirsten Hines, our Community Development Director, has tendered in her resignation effective October 29th, 2021. She's going to be moving to California. Secondly, as some of you may know, the city's preliminary official population is down. The numbers are at 23,973, which means we lost about 1,665 residents during the last 10 years, or about 6.49% of our population. Lastly, Eric DeGringe, our strategic planning facilitator, has asked if council members could contact him about one-on-one sessions for either August 25th or 27th. If you haven't received an email from him, you will be. And if you don't within the next day, let me know and I'll make sure that you get one. That's all I have for tonight, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I'll keep this short. This Saturday is the electronic recycling event at Highland. It was originally scheduled from 9 till noon. However, that's been changed. It's 9 till 11, simply because they have cut us back on the number of trailers to be able to fill up. So we're only going to be receiving 3. So we anticipate that in 2 hours they'll be full. So I want to encourage everyone to get there early. We kind of have a guess as far as how many vehicles that will fill to capacity, so we won't want people to be staying in line and then turned away. So again, that's $20 per vehicle, cash. Up to 7 electronic items can be submitted. Also, just as a reminder for the remainder of the month, since this is our last council meeting for this month, Friday, August 27th is Paint the Port. It's downtown from 4 till 8. The registration can be online or at the Art Plaza that evening. Also, that same Friday night and Saturday is the Eats and Beats. That is live music and food at the intersection of Spring and Chicago. All the proceeds from this event will go benefit our nonprofit organizations in the community. So if you're available, please check that out. I'm sure it will be a great time for all. That's all I have to remind council and the constituents of, so we'll move on to council announcements. Alderman Busker?
Just a reminder of the 5th Ward Neighborhood Watch meeting tomorrow night at the First Church of the Nazarene at 6 o'clock, so all are invited.
Thank you. Alderman Shadle?
I just wanted to comment about the intergovernmental agreement we got with the Stevenson County now with the extension of the water and sewer. I've talked about this before at meetings that I was on that Water and Sewer Commission 10 years ago or longer, and the thought of this was totally out of the realm. And I know there's people that are complaining about their water bills because of the excess money that's on there for infrastructure improvements, but it's working. It's amazing how well it's working.
Thank you. Alderman Berberet?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Borneman?
No, thank you.
Alderman Monroe?
I'll make it as quick as I can. First, Director Hines leaving, I think we're all sad to see that go. She's put a lot of effort in. She's been a good advocate for the city. She's really worked hard, and we wish her the best for sure, and I'm glad she's still here for a few more months. The population decrease, I think all of us knows what that means coming up. That's something that we all have to do. We've kind of grabbed the bull by the horns as a group, where the finances are well under control, thanks to some of the previous members of the council, and what we've been doing, working with the directors. Thank you for your hard work. Your guidance is helping us out. We've got to keep those costs under control because we've got a lot of projects that we need to really do to grow this city back and get the population growing again. The Park Ave project, I know this is step one, but we've got to work with everybody and make sure that we're good stewards of the community and we help guide people through it. I know we can't tell Mr. Chesney what to do. We can't tell the people that live there what to accept, but we need to be good companions of the community and make sure that we do well. Because, if you look at it, the Park Ave project was at $6-7 million, mill race, bringing water and sewer out there and opportunity for new business. Our greater Freeport partnership has got to pick up the ball and run now. And, I think we need to see more results on that side. We've got Hy-Vee, with indoor storage at Shopko. That's more than $10 million in projects. And if anybody is foolish to think that that's not a shot in the arm for this community, I'll tell you right now, we needed every penny of that, and we've got to work together to make it all go. And hopefully we can bring more industry, more manufacturing, more technology, all of those types of jobs that'll make people want to stay. And all of that will get the trades going again too. People building homes, people fixing homes, taking care of the community. And I want to applaud everyone in this room right now. We made a tough decision this evening, and a lot of people disagree with it. But I will tell you, for Freeport, it was the best decision that we could make, and we've got to now go and make sure that we spearhead it, and, you know, thank you.
Alderman Ross
Nothing tonight.
and Alderman Parker.
Nothing tonight.
That leaves public comments. Did you have something you'd like to say tonight? Well, thank you for coming. Then that leaves us with
Mayor,
adjournment. Yes, I'm
I
sorry.
had one left from email. Should I
yeah.
still
Sure, go
do
ahead.
that? It was in favor of the map amendment to R5 from Calvin Staver from Country Club Condominiums. He apparently lives there. I think a vote for the condo development on Demeter Drive is a vote for prosperity. Thanks for your service.
Thank you. Item number 28 is adjournment. Is there
So
such a
moved.
motion? We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Parker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.